On today's episode of Watch Share Go, it's time for a fleet update, and we're going to talk a little bit about why I do what I do. Let's get to it. What is going on, guys? I'm Watch Share Go, and I'm here in my garage, for once, actually, and we're going to do a fleet update. So let's go ahead and start with the one thing everyone's been asking for, non-stop, the R8. Here it is. Obviously, nothing's really changed lately. Here's the engine, transmission, that needs separated. The new engine needs to come over, but it's about time to bring it over. I've been in the garage working. It was really hard to do this, but I wanted to make sure the lighting in the garage was better for you guys before we got back on the R8, and we really needed lighting just to work on the car. The two lights that were in here weren't enough, so I went through, I put in a whole bunch of lights, and I've got a whole bunch more for the other side, but I can't get over there because the car's in the way. Even this side was a blast because I had to work around all of this with a ladder, that was difficult to begin with. Also, 1098 right here. There's my 2009 Ducati. It's an 1198, not a 1098. Sometimes I even forget. The 1198's so, it's not really rare, but it is kind of rare because it was only made for such a short period. Sometimes you just think it's a 1098. But like I said, here's the Audi right here. It's time for the engine to come over. A lot of this stuff can be moved around now, and we can get the engine over here, which is gigantic. And the other problem is we need engine stands, but I don't really want to put it on an engine stand. I kind of want to hang both engines and get everything moved. So we're trying to figure out the logistics of this in such a small area. Mostly everyone that's ever swapped one of these has, a huge garage, and I just have the garage here in my house. It's not very big, and it's tough to fit something like this in here. I mean, just look at the exhaust. It's gigantic. That thing's 6 foot across and huge, and there's just not a lot of room to work with. So space is at a premium, and we're doing everything we can to work around that so we can get back on this. Really shouldn't be a big deal to put back together, and I'm kind of excited to do it because it is a modern engine. It's a lot better than working on any of the old stuff. It has real O-ring seals and gaskets. Stuff does bolt back together properly, and there's torque specs for everything, and it's not that bad to work on. Turbo kit makes it pretty rough because there's a lot of factory lines that get cut in half and have T's in them, and all kinds of crazy stuff, but it's not that bad. While we're out here, let's take a second, sit down in the old R8 and talk just a little bit about why I do what I do. One of my life goals was to drive an example of every car in the world, basically every car ever made, even ones that aren't US domestic market, things like that. I've been on a mission to drive a lot of cars, and I don't really talk about it too much. I keep an updated list and I post it once in a great while, and a few people know about it and they always show up, volunteer cars. Huge thank you to all those people. I have a lot of fun reviewing cars for you guys. So I'll here's the list. You can see it kind of scrolling. I have driven hundreds of cars, but there's so many more that I haven't even come close to. All the new Genesis line, a Scion XA, things like that. I've driven a lot of cars, but it's fun driving everything and kind of experiencing the character of cars that most people would think were daily drivers. Things like a new Camry with a V6. What a monster of a car. 300 horsepower, crazy things like that. You find a lot of really cool stuff in the most unexpected cars. So, you have an idea what a supercar like Audi R8 is going to drive like, but you may not have an idea of what, the new Nissan Maxima drives like, which is surprising. I wouldn't call it a driving force behind my life. I would call it a goal that I continually work on. Whenever I get a chance to drive a new car, I drive it every time. I'll take anybody up on those offers. I have a lot of fun driving it, even if it's absolutely terrible. My worst car in the world for a long time was the Nissan Versa. Before that, it was the Hummer H3. I'd say the Hummer H3 is one of the worst cars you'll ever drive in your life. Terrible visibility, almost no windshield, 10 inches of windshield in front of your face. You can't see anything out of the H3. And it doesn't do anything special because it's a Colorado, an old Colorado. And then the Nissan Versa was just incredibly bad. And then that new Snyder may have just topped the list for the worst thing I've ever driven in my life. I've never felt scared continually while driving a car. A car that could not accelerate to save its life and couldn't brake to save its life. That's a rough place to be, especially when it's a tin can. So I think there's a new challenger of the worst. And then the best, everyone wants to know what the best car is. And I have no clue. I just enjoy cars. It's tough to rank them by best because they're all so different. But if you're going for the perfection, I don't know. Porsche 911 Turbo S, one of the new ones. Pretty close to perfect. I don't rank them. I don't have a Doug score. I just drive the car, get a feel for it, and have some thoughts about each car. That's why I like to drive everything, because how will you know if you don't experience it? You can't learn everything reading reviews. I try to, convey quite a bit about the car by how I drive it and if it's entertaining and things like that. And you know what? Most of the new cars are pretty entertaining because for some reason they're all fast. It's hard to buy a bad car in 2020. So with that said, I'll keep trying to drive every car in the world. Let's get outside and continue this fleet update. Nice door shut sound. This car needs to run soon. Let's get the engine over here. Well, it is raining outside. It is a very chilly and very rainy day. It's pretty calm though. Nice light rain. I still have my 2019 Honda Goldwing DCT Tour. Nothing wrong with it. It's got my Bape Watch JR Ghost Supreme wrap on it. The Hype Wing. I love this thing. People, you know what, when people see it in real life, they absolutely love it because the matte wrap and the gloss on the burgundy, it looks honestly really good. But I love that it's the most hated motorcycle in the world at the same time. So I enjoy it, and it's still here. It was in Tyler's car barn for a long time. I've offered it to a few people, and no one's really come through and bought it yet. So it's still here, 5,000 miles on it. The absolutely perfect loaded bike, everything you want for a touring bike. Next up, the car everybody's waiting on an update on. This is my 1979 Rolls-Royce Silver Wraith 2 LS6 swapped nitrous outlet nitrous system. It's awesome. I love this thing. It's got Holley EFI on it. It's got the huge touchscreen in the dash. It just makes me happy this car even exists, let alone all the awesome performance tricks it has up its sleeve. I bought a 9-inch. It's a 9-inch with disc brakes from a Lincoln Continental. It should be the right width. Flange to flange was correct, and it's all set up, but we still don't have a posi or a locker for it. I bought a center section from somewhere in Kansas City, and it has an open diff in it, unfortunately. So, we were just about there, and I really want a posi in the back, obviously, because we need to do burnouts with it right out of the gate. So that's kind of on hold while we still figure out the rear end. I'll get one bought really soon, as soon as I can, and we'll go from there. And then to my right here, we have my Saab 9.5 Aero. I love this car. I think it may be a permanent addition to the fleet. It runs great, it's turboed, it's got so much character. I really enjoy driving this car, and after we got a little ways into it, and the Saab community was so great, like the videos are awesome, the assistance was awesome everywhere, like you guys know these cars inside and out. I was so happy with the car that I thought it needed to be permanent in the fleet. Right now, it needs some wiper blades painted, the wiper arms themselves. I need to spray those black, brand new windshield. We went through basically everything on it, and subframe bushings are kind of next up. Wiper arms and subframe bushings, and I do actually drive this car every once in a while too. I really enjoy it. It's a great car. Right here we have my 2012 Chevy Volt. This is a Gen 1, and it's the car that never lets me down and gets put on daily duty all the time. I drive this a lot, and I keep saying I'm gonna buy a Gen 2, and I found one, but the mileage isn't quite right on it. We're gonna see if I can find a little bit lower mile one that's the right price, but I'd like to have a black Gen 2 premium, premier, whatever they call the loaded one. That's basically the only thing there is to do to this car, because it's perfect, never lets me down. I don't know whose this is. Here is Amber's Suzuki Samurai. We traded the tracker for this, and it is absolutely awesome. People thought I was crazy for trading a perfect tracker for this, but here's the thing about a tracker. A tracker, no matter what, is worth like $2,000, $2,500. I don't care if it's flawless, especially a two-wheel drive. And this, as is worth, $3,500, $4,000. Off-road guys love this thing. It's awesome. It really just needs a battery to get on the road, and then little things to get done. But next up, we're looking at doing the high steer kit, because as you remember in the video where we bought it, it was all over the road. The steering's basically dead for 8 inches of the steering wheel. Like, you can just go like this and it makes no change in the front end. So it needs a high steer kit. I'm trying to find the right one for this thing. I'd like to do some seats, and it needs a battery and basically the shifter bushings and stuff. And it's done. Like, it runs as is, so it doesn't need much to be nice. I love the color too, really good. Over here we have my 2012 Fiat 500 Abarth, and I drive this every once in a while. I absolutely love this car. It makes all the best boost noises. Super fun. You can shoot in between traffic and stuff like that. And it's just fun to drive with the 5-speed and the boost. It makes a ton of power. Alpha 4 seat coils, all the cool stuff, all the Motul fluids. It's been listed for sale for a while because I don't drive it that much. Love the car, but it's so loud that I feel terrible if I start it after dark, which, makes life kind of difficult. Let me prove my point to you guys real fast. Here's a cold start. here we have my 2005 Nissan Titan. This is a Gen 1, and of course we just put the Infinity leather seats in this thing. Sounds killer. It's got the Banks exhaust, Banks intake, and unfortunately it has this bed cover on it that I can't sell to save my life. So it looks kind of weird, but honestly, it's a nice driver. It hauls stuff around, makes parts runs. It's got a nice growl when it starts, and then it shuts up, and you can drive it through any neighborhood, and people don't look at you weird. And yes, that truck is very, very dirty because it does get driven and used as a work truck. Hanging out over here at Gabe's, we have my 1994 Z28 Camaro. Did a bunch of videos on this recently. It's got the new Hooker exhaust. It sounds awesome finally. Now that it's not open header, I can drive this through the neighborhood too. I love the exhaust. It looks great. And we've got more videos coming because the parts are here to fix the cooling system on it. And we just haven't had a chance to work on it yet. So busy with the old 65 Ford, but I love the exhaust. Looks a lot better, sounds a lot better. This thing's an old tank. Keeps right on running. Now Tyler's got one of these. His is probably slower, isn't it? So here we are out in the old work truck, and we're gonna head over to my sister's barn, and I'll show you guys the truck and the EXP. They're hanging out over there. Oh, hey. Here is my grandpa's 65 Ford F100 that you guys just watched us do all of that work on. We did a Holley Sniper on it, the Holley EFI dual sync distributor, MSD wires. It has all of that cool new stuff on it. It drives great. I'm super excited about this truck, and it definitely stays inside because weather. Lots of weather here in Kansas. People wonder why I don't keep this one at my house, because it will get destroyed in a hailstorm that will probably happen tonight. Who knows? So here we have the 1984 Ford EXP. This is the Frog right here. We haven't talked about this one for a while, but it's because it doesn't need anything and it probably should have been sold. The problem is I like it, and I spent about $5,000 rebuilding this thing. Of course, the Wizard did the top end for me. Well, we sent it out to Mike's Machine. They did the head. He put it all back together. It's perfect. And then we were still having some issues with drivability, so I grabbed a Weber and we trashed the old carb, put the, whatever that Weber carb is, 2432. I forgot, but hey, it's all fixed. It's all straightened out. It has a great interior. It's red. Look at that. Look at that red interior on the 84. It's got a head unit. I mean, it's just a driver at this point. And, you know, if the right offer comes along, I'll sell this thing in a heartbeat. So that is it for my fleet update. You guys now know where all my cars are at. I think we're at 12 right now or something like that, so it's not too out of control. I'd like to sell a couple of them, but I still have a Miata as well. That's at Lamborghinis, and that's it. That's it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shopwatchjayrgo.com where you can get cool shirts, not like the one I'm wearing right now. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I will talk to you next time. Hey, thanks for opening the shop, Eric. Wait, you been hauling some stuff around in this thing? Paint? Oh.
Looks like it needs to be wrapped.
Yeah, it looks dirty. Got
Mopar purple.
Seems like it's got big brakes and stuff like that.